Okay, so this image is a mess. But how do you deplatform someone? So we can't stop certain things. So we can't stop people being, totally crazy sometimes. People wanting crazy things. Um, but we can stop the escalation sometimes, or most of the times, I would imagine, if not like all the time, of these like kind of mass movements that start running rampant and on craziness and insanity. So the way to deplatform someone is when they are spouting all kinds of nonsense and stupidity and hate and things that people don't really tend to want to do, um, but they still do it because it becomes like a part of the platform. It is the outrage of the people in a sense. So it might seem like this guy is giving them all the ideas and hatreds, and sometimes it is true, but usually it doesn't work directly this way. There has to be a mutual sort of exchange of services in a way. So most of the time when someone is doing this, they are saying either a few or many things that are true. And we might even frame the entire thing as something that is true. And you can try to silence them, but that is like the worst idea, because now the sort of the exchange between the people and this person is cut in a forcible manner, and you can't really force something like this to go away. You can try to get rid of this guy with fear, and it works sometimes. I'd say like places that are run by fear. The Russian people are a good sort of example of that. So they are afraid all the time, and then they prove that they're not afraid by doing all these crazy stunts, and then they get drunk so that they can handle it, and it just becomes an entire fucking mess. So nobody really survives that kind of a situation. It doesn't really work. It doesn't create anything good. You can get rid of these guys, but then like in today's world, if you get rid of over half of your population who might think something, that it's not really going to work for many reasons. So if you have this exchange, it requires these two elements. It requires something that's true, and then everything sort of rests on top of the lie. So it doesn't, I can't really think right now, at least, of a situation where a truth could be based on a lie, and then, like, how would that work? Because if the basis is already false, I would imagine in certain situations, like just tactical situations, it might work, but not. This doesn't work as a strategy, so because it's going to collapse, most likely. So you can try to remove the lies, but lying comes from nowhere. So a person can say anything out of nothing. It doesn't have to have anything to do with reality. I can say that a unicorn went to the shop to buy groceries yesterday, and it is English, and it makes sense linguistically, but it has no bearing on reality. So it doesn't really do anything to the whole system of how the system functions if you cut off the lies, because the demand is there for it, and it's sort of like a mutual thing, and there's always a new one. So there's, millions of these. So it doesn't matter if you take the time to get rid of one of them. There's going to be more, and it's going to be an infinite sort of assault of infinite lies. And then what good is that going to do? You're not addressing the underlying issue, which is the frustration of the people here. And the frustrations are either true or real. But as we know, if the frustration isn't real, you can't really, it might be good to get rid of it somehow, but it's not usually how it works. because people who believe crazy things, they'll believe crazy things anyway, and you can't stop it always from happening. What you can do is when this person starts shouting all these things, and you are on the opposite side here, trying to survive this sort of really strong attack that will lead to nothing but destruction. But it's a very offensive strategy to just spam. What you do is you take these things and you incorporate them into your platform, but with sanity. So you take this problem, for example, and then you say, yes, you think about it. And of course, starts off with you listen to all the stuff and then you pick the ones that are real and make sense. And so you pick this one and you're like, all right, well, that makes sense. So what happens is this one gets removed, but also all this frustration and anger and things like that are surrounding it is going to get removed. Now, people might still be angry. Most of the time when people get really angry, there is an agitator somewhere agitating people to be angry, and you can take steps. You can more easily take steps with this one with logic, but when the situation is out of hand like this, you have to take these things. So then, let's say that this one also, it makes sense. So you grab it again into your vocabulary, not because you have to, but because it makes sense, because it is a real issue, or it is a non-issue, or it would be a non-issue if someone would address it. So again, a lot of this noise is going to quiet down. People are going to be more happy because people, they want safety in a sense. They want stability, and it usually comes with control. And if nobody seems to be in control, then things start to escalate out of control. And the person who is in charge needs to address these real issues to remove all the bullshit and all the crap around it. So what is being done now is, or what happened before Trump won, was that there was a wall between this person and nothing would get through. And so you would get the sort of extreme people who get very angry and emotional. You would get those people here. So you have these emotional guys here, but there's not that many of them. Then you have these, regular people who need to have their grievances addressed. And suddenly, if you're not listening at all, they're going to join this group as well, because clearly things are starting to get out of control. The people have no longer have any control over things, because it's clear the leadership is not listening to anything. The leadership is out of control. So the people start to feel out of control. And then eventually, if you do this long enough, you're going to have the people who are, let's say the most sane and the most calm and rational, and who want the best of things and listen to the truth. If truth is being deflected from the current leadership and the current status, then they're going to join in on this. And they might not join in on the yelling and stuff, but they will join in on okaying what's going to happen, because clearly you have dropped the ball here. This guy has dropped the ball here. They no longer are interested in anything except for sort of the superficial. So it becomes extremely clear for everyone to see that they are not interested in what is right, because clearly even the right things are getting deflected. What they're interested in might be listening to, political minorities, or being just crazy, because, people do go crazy. They're out of touch. Whatever the reason is, the fault lies here, because this mechanism, it's not that this mechanism is correct. It's not that this mechanism is sane, because this guy is going to burn everything down. He's going to destroy this wall. He's going to destroy this person. He's going to destroy these people. He's going to destroy the platform, the podium, everything. So you don't want this, but it is a thing that exists. You don't want to get shot, but bullets and guns exist. You don't want to get stabbed, but knives exist. You don't want to, maybe suffer enormous pain, but it does exist. So you have to understand this sort of you have to take this realistic approach to things. So if you want to pull the lever on this guy and you want to make him get the fuck out, is when he starts yelling about all kinds of stuff, this person can say, with a couple of words, he can say, yeah, that's a problem. That's not great. So we have to address that. And then suddenly everybody's like, oh shit, we're being listened to. And this person is making sense. So I was in the other one too. And then after you've done this for a while, you can say, well, all of the other bullshit that he's saying, that doesn't make any sense. And anybody can see it now because we clearly have this situation, if not under control, we're, acting rationally. So all of this starts to disappear. And then you have a direct line for people to talk. And like said, there's always going to be these guys. They're always going to be agitated no matter what. And, in America, or in the U.S., it's about political lines and it's about tribalism, sort of. It's a split between two ideas. Elsewhere, it can be a split between many ideas, but usually when you have more than two parties, let's say you have like 6 parties, things become a little, convoluted in a good way where people can't really grasp onto something that extremely. The people who do usually are a very small minority, and the only path that they have is terrorism or forcibly gaining control over something. But this has to happen. This admission of truths from whoever is in charge, because this can turn both ways. So when this guy gets into power, and he won't listen to anything, we're going to go through the shit again and again and again until someone is, someone it brings in the sort of the rationality with professionalism and everything that comes with that, which is stability and good relations and, let's say, optimally prosperous nation where maybe some nation doesn't have much to give, but it doesn't matter so long as there's food and stability and sanity and all the good stuff. Goodbye.